Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co, and today I'm reviewing Cthulhu Death May Die, Fear of the Unknown. This is the expansion, Season 3 from Command Games. This is currently on Kickstarter. I'll have a link to that down below. And everything you see before you, this is all prototype, rules, components, all that stuff subject to change. Now, this will not be a full review of Cthulhu Death May Die. I just did one of those. I'll link to that down below. You can check that out. And this is 97%, 94%, 94.5% the same thing as Cthulhu Death May Die. But there are some additional things to go off of. I'll do a very high-level overview of what Cthulhu Death May Die is. I'll talk about the changes that Fear of the Unknown brings to the table, both in terms of new content as well as different content, and I'll tell you my opinion of all of those things from what I've gotten to experience, which is sadly not everything. I don't have all 6 episodes, I only have 1 episode, I only have 1 Elder one, I do have 10 investigators. We'll get into all of that. Cthulhu Death May Die, at a high level, is basically a dungeon crawling experience. It's a dungeon crawling experience where you'll have your investigators, you'll have your specific scenario. This is all fictionally made up for the purpose of this conversation. You'll have all the enemies on the scenario over there and the specific goals of the specific scenario that you're trying to do to break the ritual and weaken the Elder One. You'll have a variety of Elder Gods. You'll mix a variety of scenarios, and then you'll mix them with Elder Gods, and you'll have the combination of the two will generate something that you're trying to encounter, but you have to complete the ritual, or more specifically, you have to disrupt the ritual that the cultists are trying to complete. By disrupting the ritual, you'll make the Elder God vulnerable, at which point you can try to take them out. If you alternatively die before that happens, if any investigator dies before the Elder One is on the board, you lose. If all of the investigators die once the Elder One is on the board, you lose. Or if time runs out, you lose. You have to disrupt the ritual, then take out the Elder One, and you're going to do that by wandering around the board, taking down the bad guys, investigating in order to be able to gather these cards that will help you in your journey, slowly go a little bit mad, which will help you power up in a variety of ways, adding more abilities. Each character is going to have one unique signature skill over here, and then they're going to be sharing pools of different skills of swiftness, toughness, arcane mastery, marksman, stealth, all these different skills you'll be sharing, brawling, and then the combination of those skills make up your unique investigator. The investigators at the table make up your unique crew, playing a 2 to 4 player game, whatnot, and figuring out how to balance around trying to take down the Elder One before he takes you down. That's what's going on at a high level. Again, full review link down below if you want to check that out. Fear of the Unknown is Season 3. This is Season 3. If you check out the Kickstarter, there's already a variety of stuff unlocked. There's a bunch of optional buys unlocked. There'll be more optional buys by the time the campaign is over. There'll be stretch goals and extras and all these various goodies. But let's talk about what we have here, or at least, well, what I know so far. So, to that end, Fear of the Unknown introduces a few things. First and foremost, it introduces more content. Just more content for the game. If you like Death May Die, if you wanted more stuff, well, this has more stuff, and some of which I care about more than others. We have off the bat 10 new investigators. Again, this gets before we cover any stretch goals or anything else on the campaign page, but we have 10 new investigators, and they are delightful. At least the ones I've played with, or even the ones I've gone through and just looked at, they are delightful. I love the investigative variety of Death May Die. I have something like 40 to 50 characters in my current base game, and I've gone through most of them. I've played through the game as most of them. My wife and I, whenever we table this game, we play through 2 characters each, and we've played through this game a whole lot, which means we've gone through every single character multiple times, and I love having new characters. We have this character over here who's their signature skill, because the signature skill is really what makes them stand out. Sure, you have combinations of brawling and swiftness and marksman and stealth, and between all the characters, I've seen all those combinations of the 2 basic skills, but the signature skill is the thing that makes them stand out, and the signature skill combined with the other skills really makes them stand out. In the case of him over here, we have some toughness, which is great. We have swiftness, letting him move around the board, also great, but his signature skill basically involves, if he doesn't take hits in combat, he gets to shove people around the board. To what's the quote he have? To fight, be where they are not. It is that easy and also that hard. But his absolute powered up skill to the nth degree over there, the 4th level skill, is every time an enemy attacks him, not the Elder One, but whenever a monster or cultist attacks him, if you take no wounds from that attack, you just kill them. You instant kill them. And when you combine that with toughness, you combine that with leveling up his ability, he's constantly doing things to help ensure that he has rerolls during combat, so he basically sits there and just kind of just executes people as they attack him. Run through a bunch of spaces, pick up some baddies, and watch them try to hit you and die along the way. These characters, that's just one character. We have 10 characters all with different things. Stella over here, she basically has a marksman kind of combined with brawling. Her chemical explosives basically gives her a ranged attack that happens in an adjacent square, so you end up being able to basically toss bombs, destroying all the characters and doing damage to all the characters. You have a variety of different skills in a variety of different ways, and the signature skills of these new characters, again, even just the 10 I have here, forget the Kickstarter extras, stretch goals, expansions, all that stuff, even just the 10 I have here are very compelling, giving you fun and more stuff, fun stuff, and I highly recommend the character variety. I think that's good in terms of more content. The scenarios. Fear of the Unknown, again, before we cover anything extra, is going to come to you with 6 new scenarios. 6 new scenarios, of which I've only played one, so I can only comment on the one so far, but in general I would say that I like the scenario variety of Cthulhu Death May Die. I like having more scenarios in general. I've gone through nearly all the scenarios. I think I haven't played like 2 of the lost ones, but I played everything else, all of Season 1, all of Season 2. I played most of them multiple times. Having more scenarios is a straight up good thing. The one scenario we have feels like more Death May Die. If you like the scenario variety of Death May Die, great, you'll have more. I like it, I'm happy to have more, so overall a plus there. The Elder Ones, again, I've only gotten to play as one Elder One so far in this prototype, but again, more variety. I love the different experiences each Elder One brings to the table. Over here, this particular person, who I will not try to pronounce his name because that would be embarrassing, he just adds fatigue to all the investigators, slowly tiring them down and having consequences in terms of the way they interact with other monsters, the way they interact with the mythos cards, and the way you'll ultimately interact with unpronounceable name over here as you go through the end game. Those fatigue cards again give you a different way to experience the game. I like the Elder Ones in Death May Die, and I like the variety of Elder Ones, and these two, well, the only one that I have and the others that will be there, it's more of a good thing for me. This is where we get to the first, not really negative, but more neutral on Death May Die, and caveat, by the way, I should have mentioned this at the beginning, I love Death May Die. It's one of my favorite games, it's one of my top 10 games, it has been one of my top 10 games since I first played it, and has stayed in my top 10 every single year. So understand, I am walking into this very much as a target audience for this game. But as far as that first neutral is the monsters. The basic monster the extra monsters that are added to the game, because the game gives you more monsters, and I will say that one of the negatives about Death May Die is I've never really cared that much about the different monsters. I say that much. I like the variety, I like having different monsters with different rules, and this one affects you that way, and that one triggers more madness, and this one deals 2 wounds. They all give you slight differences to them, but I can't say, when I look at Death May Die, I've always appreciated the variety of characters. I've appreciated the variety of their, what's it called? Where are they? They're these thingies. What are they called again? They're, what are they called? The medical file things. Whatever. They're madness. I've always appreciated the variety of their madness. I've appreciated the variety of the characters. I've appreciated the variety of scenarios, the episodes. I've appreciated the variety of elder gods. But the monsters I can't say I ever cared that much for. It's good to have variety, but it never really felt that different. Mostly you're wandering around trying to kill them. They will hamper you. They'll roll dice against you. For me, the monster variety in Death May Die has always been one of the weaker aspects of it. And again, I like the new monsters that are added here, make no mistake, but I wouldn't necessarily pay for an expansion just to get more monster variety, because that's an area that hasn't really done a lot for me. These case files over here, though, I like having more of these. One of the things the original Death May Die did have lesser variety in is these madnesses that the characters have, their own individual weaknesses, and having more of them is a good thing. It's not a ton of extra variety, but just I've played the game so many times that I've seen them all so many times, it's nice to have more of those. And that, for the most part, covers the variety of more as far as what Fear of the Unknown brings you. It brings you more stuff across the board, most of which is a good thing for me, most of which I highly recommend, particularly the characters, the elder ones in the episodes, and then a few other things that are just extra and I'm happy to have, but don't do quite as much for me. As far as the new stuff, let's talk about the new stuff, because there's also new stuff. Again, some of which I like more than others. First of all, a nice little quality of life thing that you can use or not use as you so choose are going to be these tokens here. Basically, whenever an elder god is summoned, you're going to go ahead and flip these tokens face down, and you're going to flip one over, and look, the Elder God is summoned at the starting space. You're going to do that again with a different token. Now he gets summoned again on the red gate. Basically, one of the problems you might have had with Death May Die, if you've played it a lot like I have, is that you kind of know the patterns. You don't necessarily try to memorize it, but if you've played against Cthulhu enough times, you know he's going to pop into your space, and then he's going to pop into the starting gate, and then he's going to pop into the yellow gate. You know those patterns. That might actually not be true, by the way, but you get a sense and a feel for the patterns of where they pop up, and that could make them easier to fight against. Now, there might be a sense of reward around that. You might like the fact that, okay, great, I've played against Cthulhu multiple times, and I know where he pops up, and I feel that I've earned that sense of reward. In which case, great, ignore these. But if you do want to be a little bit more surprised, if you do want the fact that you can't perfectly predict and plan around where to make sure you are standing there with a shotgun to his face, ready to blow him up as he pops up, then these will help you with that. You can use them if you want, you can not if you don't, but they basically replace the standard spawn spaces of the Elder Ones, giving you more variety as far as where they're going to pop up next. That's a decent thing. I don't know if I'll use it or not. Honestly, I'll use it if I feel I'm winning too much, and I won't if I don't. I do like the sense of reward of having, like, learned the Elder One, but also if I'm winning too much, then, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Whatever that means. Secondly, we're also going to have new things as far as these monsters over here. You're going to have a monster board that is going to be placed next to your Elder board that gives you 2 random monsters that go into every scenario. First of all, they nicely give you the end of turn effects as well for those who have trouble, referencing the rulebook or remembering or whatnot. Can be very helpful for new players. But additionally, they give you 2 random monsters from a pool of all the monsters you're going to have. You're going to be able to choose their cards, and they get added to the scenario. You will want to make sure not to use the same monsters that are already in the scenario because you can't have them twice. But these will give you, they're going to spawn in the game. They're going to move around based on when the Elder One advances, and they're going to hamper your goals more so as you go through the game. Again, this is more monsters on the board. I like the extra difficulty it provides, and I can tell you that we lost the first scenario the first time we played it. We lost this first scenario over here. What's it called? It's a terrible pun. It's a terrible pun. It is the top of the morning, but like morning with sadness and death as opposed to morning sunset and sunrise, that one. But yeah, we lost the first scenario. We played with the new content over here, the new relics as well as the extra monsters. And I will say the extra monsters definitely make it more difficult because they have another way that they're driving towards you. You're going to be going through these mythos decks over here, and as you draw an unknown behavior card, it's going to trigger the monsters to move, and you're still going to draw a replacement card. So it's not like it's a replacement, it's an extra bad thing that will happen to you and get in your way, and the monsters can be powerful over there. I like them. I like having the variety. I also like having the ability to mix in monsters into episodes so you can have more of a feeling. But again, see my earlier complaint that generally I feel the monsters have the least intricacy in terms of the depth of the variety of experience. So I like it. I like the extra difficulty while not feeling a ton of uniqueness from the new monsters being added. For me, my favorite part of the new expansion is going to be these cards over here. These over here are the relics, and I love these. I absolutely love these. I cannot tell you how much I love this. I can tell you, actually, this is what I'm doing right now. I'm actually telling you how much I love these. I love these relics. Relics are going to be something you're going to mix up. Let's say you're playing a 4-player game, you're going to grab 4 relics, you're going to go ahead and pass them around, players are going to choose them one at a time, so you have some degree of agency, some degree of randomness because you don't choose your relics, but a degree of agency because once you have the 4 relics, you could work with other players and choose them there. But these will give you extra things they can do that just give you small little buffs in different ways. We have the Ancient Idol. When you would take wounds, you may prevent up to 2 of them and lose that much sanity. There you go, able to do that. But additionally, when you get to your 3rd madness tier on your upgrade track, you're going to flip this over so you as a character can lean into the madness. What you once thought was a little ancient idol is now a fragment of Cthulhu himself, and you're going to be seeing and benefiting from a higher power. Now when you would take wounds, you may prevent any number of wounds and lose the same number of sanity, letting you charge up the track, but with a degree of danger to it. Then we also have one of my favorite relics over here. Let's see if I can find this one over here. One of my favorite relics is the Shiny Jewel. The Shiny Jewel, which lets you gain 1 level in your signature skill, meaning you can actually be higher on all your tracks, and once you go mad a bit more, you get an additional level on your signature skill, which means you can actually be starting to power up all of your tracks as you slowly go more and more mad. You combine these relics in different ways, letting you jump through gates, letting you have extra dice when you attack, letting you count yourself as safe when you're in spaces with monsters. They give you different ways to break the game, and the combination of the way these will go and pair up with different characters. I don't know what Command's plans are for the Kickstarter, but right now we have like 10 of these. I want like 40 different relics. I think these are phenomenally cool. I want as many of these as you possibly can have. I think you do need to play with the extra monsters to balance these out. Like I said already, these give you something extra, which means you need hardness to be added to the game to compensate, and I think the extra monsters definitely do that. But overall, the relics, as far as when you're looking at the more content, I like having the investigators, I like having the extra elder ones, and the episodes. If you're looking for the new content, I love the relics, I like the extra monsters, I'm okay with these tokens over here. Overall, this is mostly just more of a good thing, for the most part. If you like Cthulhu Death May Die, this is more. If you haven't played Cthulhu Death May Die, I recommend it. It's going to be in the BGG Top 100 shortly. It's been climbing up through the ranks ever since it came out. It is a well-loved game that I highly recommend, and now you can go ahead and get your hands on the original game, the new content. You can even get your hands on the original Unspeakable box, I think it was called, the Kickstarter stuff from the original season. You can get your hands on that as well if you missed out. You can even get your hands on the Giant Elder Cthulhu, although that I think is I think that's probably an area where you could spend your money a bit better. If you really, really want it, go ahead and get it. I just don't know if you need that to really have this experience over here. And that's what we have. That's what we have as far as Fear of the Unknown. Hopefully this helps showcase you the new stuff, the new things in the game, talk about my opinions of the stuff I've encountered with. As usual, I'm expecting the episodes to have better and worse. Command's Death May Die in general has always had some episodes that really were incredible, and some episodes that were okay. The Elder ones in general, I've liked most of them. The Black Goat of the Woods is particularly annoying, but annoying in a good way, so I'm not complaining there. And more characters is easily one of my favorite things. New characters and the relics, the combination of those are just going to ensure you have constantly different games with constantly different new strategic ways to approach the same stuff again and again and again and again. In any case, until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. Hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I hope you have a good one.